Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kiana, gracefully Kiana, if you will. So today I just want to talk to you about my January wrap-ups, as well as open up or show you guys my January book of the month and show y'all my library books that I got the other week. So yeah, first of all, I read 6, almost 7 books in January. Why I say almost 7? Because I started an arc and the mood reader in me stopped. And I was trying to get the arc done before the date that it came out, which was on the 27th of January, and I just didn't get to make that goal. And I felt bad, and the 27th rolled around, and I was like, I kind of wasn't feeling it no more. Plus, January was getting on my nerves. Like, I was like, feeling like, go home, Roger. Like, I saw some on Facebook that said January was a long, hard year, but thank God we made it. And that's what it felt like. And thank God we made it. So I meant to make this video on Friday, but I didn't. So it's actually Sunday night, February the 2nd, that I'm filming this, but better late than never. I'm new at this booktube thing, and I want to get on a good schedule. But, and I know as I gradually continue to make content that I will get my groove in it and do this stuff on time. But like I said, better late than never. So, first we're going to talk about the books that I did read in January. So, the first book that I read, was Though I May Stumble by Kim Cash Tate. And this is a Christian fiction book, and it is a part of I think it's 5 book series, and this is number 1. This is the first one. And this was so good. Like, when you think of Christian fiction, some people, they think of, they think that it's going to be not interesting. But y'all, this was like real deal issues going on. And like you could relate to, if not one, to all of the women in this book. So, and this is a part of the Promises of God novel. This is a Promise of God novel, a part of the Promises of God series. And in here, it follows, I'm just going to read the front. 4 women, 1 weekend, and their lives will never be the same. So, for the 4 women, Stephanie, Treva, Jillian, and Faith. And it just follows them going to a women's conference 1 weekend, and it just goes into each of their lives and what they were dealing with before the women's conference, during the women's conference, and then after the women's conference. And what I love about this book was it touched on, like I said, real life situations, touched on grief. It touched on a lot of things. And then it just reminded you the promises of God. And I think this book will be a good book to read for a book club, especially a Christian women's book club, and any woman book club. Because like I said, it was real relatable what these 4 women were going through. So, and then I gave this book a 4.5. And I can't wait to get into the rest of the books. I can't wait to get into book 2. And I immersively read this book. I immersively read it. And I read it during the time. So I read this like in the beginning of January. And I was actually sick. And this book helped me while I was sick, because I got sick like on the 2nd week of January. and I really wasn't thinking about picking up the book and read it. So I got it on Audible, and I immersively read it. I listened to it, and it was so good, y'all. It was so good. I do recommend this book. Like I said, I recommend it to all women, but I think it will be a really good book for a women's Christian book club. So that's the first book I read. And then all the other books that I read actually was on either Audible or ebook. So the second book that I read this month was Beautiful Broken Love, y'all, by Shanora Williams. Is that it? Is that her? Let me make sure, because y'all, I don't want to say the wrong thing. But y'all, this was a new book, and it was so good. I also read this book. Like I said, I read this one on Audible, as well as this was one of the books that you could get on, because sometimes on Kindle Unlimited, they have books that you can listen to and read on Kindle Unlimited, and this was one of the ones. So I read this on Kindle Unlimited, and I listened to it. It was so good. And when you think of the title, Beautiful Broken Love, you think of course, it's going to be a love story, but it was so much deeper than a love story. Y'all, this book touched on grief. It touched on a lot. Of course, it touched on love, and it had a little spice. But yeah, I was outdone. I loved it. I absolutely loved this book. Let me find it. First of all, on my Goodreads. I'm going to find it on my Goodreads because I don't want to. Yeah, Beautiful Broken Love by Shanora Williams. I gave that a 5.0. I got that 5 stars. I love this book. Everything about this book, it was just beautiful. I had a lot of highlights because, like I said, I read it on Kindle Unlimited, and I highlighted a lot on this book. Did I? I didn't leave a review. I thought I did, but I didn't. So yeah, it says I finished this book on January the 11th. I loved it. I gave it a 5 stars. It follows a woman dealing with, Davina. She was dealing with, the death of her husband. And I don't think I'm not giving anything away because it's in the synopsis. And she meets this basketball player named Deke. He's a basketball player. Davina, she has her own business selling skincare. And the way their lives collided and the way they just talked about and dealt with grief and love and the feeling of, how some people, when they are grieving, sometimes feel guilty about moving on or being happy. They think they're doing it too quick, and that's not the case. Y'all, it was so good. And like I said, I gave that a 5 star. I do recommend. And usually on my 5 stars, if I've read it, and 9 times out of 10 I've read it on Kindle or Audible, I usually go and get it as a trophy. So Beautiful Broken Love will be a book that I do go get as a trophy. And then the next book I read in January was Bemused by Farrah Rashan. So if you from my generation, you know the story of Hercules, the Disney story of Hercules, and the Muses. So they were a group of sisters that were singers. So this is the retelling and backstory of the Muses, and it's called Bemused. This was really good. Now, I'm a love a Disney movie Cause I'm gonna love a Disney original movie down. Because that's the generation I come from. My favorite, I don't know if I shared it, but my favorite is Beauty and the Beast. I think I did. My favorite is Beauty and the Beast. I love. I'm Belle at heart. So every Beauty and the Beast reimagining and retelling I have watched, I have, immersed myself in. If they make a book, baby, I'm going to be in that book. I'm going to have that book. But Bemused, I loved it. I loved it. And I listened to this on audio as well. I gave this, no, let's say I gave it a 3.5 stars. And the reason why I gave it a 3.5 stars was because it was a very good, I love the reimagining of it. I love the whole storytelling thing. But come on, these were the muses. They were talented singers. And in the audiobook, they didn't sing a lick. I was listening. I was waiting on, when they started talking about the performances, I was waiting on a performance. And I don't know if it's another live action one or whatever audiobook, because I read this on Hoopla, on the library Hoopla. So I don't know if that's why, or I don't know if this might be the only audiobook version where they don't sing. And I was like, that's the only thing that disappointed me, was I didn't get to hear no singing, because they were the muses. Come on. I wanted to be amused by the muses and bemused. But yeah, I gave it, that's the only reason why I gave it a 3.5 stars. But I really would recommend this book, and I would recommend it especially to my generation who grew up on the Disney movies and grew up on the original, the Disney classics. Like, I recommend this book. I still haven't went to go see Mufasa yet, and I can't wait to go see that. Like I said, I'm all about a Disney retelling, a Disney classic retelling. So, yeah, so the next book I read last month was, this was the first book I read last month. And it was called 7 Days, 7 Dates, a Kwanzaa holiday story. And I read that January the 1st through the 6th. And I know, the holidays were over. But I think Kwanzaa starts the day after Christmas anyway. I don't know. I just saw this book I just saw somebody on my Goodreads, one of my mutuals on my Goodreads had read it. So I looked into it. It looked good. And I said, I never read a love story about Kwanzaa. So, hey, why not? I'm still in the holiday spirit a little. So I picked this up, read it on. I got it on Kindle Unlimited. I read it and it was so good. Like, the aspects of the way they were dating and all the dating themes were centered around the themes of Kwanzaa, each day of Kwanzaa. And it was a different way of dating. So the two couples that was in here, it was like something you would see on a dating story or whatever on TV, but they went through these matchmakers. They stayed in a house that the matchmakers sent them to. They could not use their cell phones this whole week they were together, these whole 7 days. And they kind of made up these dates for them to go on each day. And it was just really, it was a really cool concept. And I was like, you know what? Because I'm single, I wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind going through a process like this with dating. And that's something for me to say, because I'm not into the whole social media dating and all that, but I would not mind going through an experience like this on dating to try to find my mate. It was a really, really good story. And I gave this one a 5 stars. It was a 5-star for me. I really enjoyed it. And you can get it on Kindle Unlimited. I kind of feel like, I know it's not Christmas or Kwanzaa anymore. Why am I reading this? But yeah, it was really good. And it kicked off. I was still in the love mood. And it kicked it out for me. It really did. So, let's see. Let's see more. Then I read in the church group that I'm in the book club that I'm in with some women in my church. We were reading Church Girl, a gospel vision to encourage and challenge Black Christian women. I read this on Audible. Like I said, I'm a Christian woman who loves, I step into the nonfiction and all of that stuff, but I'm a sucker for a good Christian book, and to be able to read this book and then go back and discuss it every week with the women. Some women in my church was so good. And it just touches on the stigma of the church girl, especially the African American church girl, and the expectation that the world has for her and who God really says she is. It was a really good book. And this was by Sarita T. Lyons. I loved every book. And it was a foreword by Jackie Hill Perry. I loved it. Loved every bit of it. I loved the discussions. We actually are still, we coming up on our last discussion, which is gonna be next Sunday. And I love this book. I listened to it while I was driving. That's what I do mostly with all of my audibles, or when I'm cooking or cleaning or something. And it really made me think. And I recommend this book. I think I gave this book a 5-star as well. Especially, that's another one that I would recommend. Like I'm reading it with some women in my church, a Christian woman group. But this could also be good for any woman, any African American woman, especially ones who may have that stigma or look at the church girl a certain way, to kind of break down the barriers. So I love that book. That was really good as well. And then I read The Vanishing Half. I immersively read that too. I was actually reading The Vanishing Half with another booktube, one of the girls on booktube that I follow. I was reading it with her book club, and they met tonight to discuss it, and I feel so bad that I missed it. I missed that discussion. I think I couldn't find the link or something, and then I started cooking and kind of slipped my mind, but I did finish that book. Like I said, I immersively read it. I went, and because I didn't have any more credits on Audible, don't really want to pay for Spotify right now. I got this other free 30-day trial of where you listen to audiobooks called Everand. So I went and got that book. I went and got The Vanishing Half off of there. And I already had this on my bookshelf. I bought this from the library, one of my library's bookstores, for $5 last year. And I had not read it. So when I saw that her book club was going to read and discuss it, I was like, okay, this gives me the motivation to get this book out of my bookshelf and read it. Because like I said, that's one of my goals this year, is to read the books off of my bookshelf. I have so many. And this followed two twin girls, Desiree and Stella Veins. Both of them were light-skinned. And when I say light-skinned, talking about light, bright, look white women. And they grew up in the town of all light-skinned people who looked white in Louisiana. And this kind of unknown town. And they ran away. And I think this is in the synopsis, so I don't think I'm giving you anything. They left when they were like 16. And one ended up coming back. And one ended up staying in the world, disappearing, vanishing as you will, and turning into a white girl. And then, well, you know, posing as a white girl for all these years. And it just goes into their life. I will say, it started off kind of slow, and then it started off like it's long chapters. It's long chapters, I will say that. Then another thing that threw me off was the parts. It like broke it up in parts. The different people, and like I'm kind of like, sometimes you introduce too many people to me. I'm just like, and then, but it all at the end played around and came together beautifully. It did. It came all at the end, came together beautifully. So yeah, I read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and I gave this one a 4.5 star as well. Listening to it made me understand it even better, because I don't think I could have just sat and read all of this. I couldn't. Listening to it made me understand it much better. I think that's one thing I love about audiobooks. It brings me more into the book where I can understand. If I hear what's going on, then makes me picture and imagine like I'm watching a movie. It's something to be said about audiobooks. One, I used to never like audiobooks, but now audiobooks my jam. So, yeah, read The Vanishing Half. I missed book club discussion. I'm so sad about that. But we are reading the book we're reading next month. I will be sure to not miss that discussion, because I started the new book and I love it. I love it. And I got to yap with some people about it once I'm finished. But so that was the other book that I read, The Vanishing Half. So have I went over? Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 4, 5. And then the book that I stopped reading, that was The Ark. Because of my brain, my mood reader brain, I was reading Good Dirt. Good Dirt by Charmaine Wilkerson. And it came out on the 27th. And I was trying to get into it and continue to read it. And I have her book, Black Cake. Actually, Black Cake was my first book of the month order that I ever got. But I never read it. And I'm 10 books in now into the book of the month. And I never read Black Cake. So, I don't know. I guess this is my first introduction into her writing style and everything. And not saying anything wrong with her writing style. But I just kept thinking, maybe I need to read Black Cake first. Because I've seen people rave about Black Cake. And then I've seen other people who had the Ark of Good Dirt. That's why I went and requested it on NetGalley. Because I seen people who had the Ark of Good Dirt. And they loved it. So I was like, oh, I got to get it. But I got to go into realizing I want to read the first book that somebody put out before I just go reading other stuff. So I kind of just put a pause on Good Dirt. And I'm going to go back to it. And I'm going to read some more of it. But I kind of just put a pause on that. And so that's all the books that I've read in January. I enjoyed them though. I enjoyed them, and I got a 5 star out of 2 of the books. So yay for me for that. So next we're gonna go to gonna keep moving, and we're gonna go to my book of the month for January. And I will say that this is probably gonna be my last book of the month for a minute, because I did. It's not no problem. I did, and I am. I put my book of the month on pause because I need to read these books on my shelf before I read or get any more books. And I can't say I just got those book of the month books and then kind of, they just there. I haven't read any of them, not one. But my book of the month for January had already opened because I didn't want to struggle. And then I got mad because after I got this book, I realized that the book of the month that we are reading for January in the book club, they actually had it on book of the month. So I could have got that book. And so I'll just, instead of reading it on Audible, I probably would end up reading on Audible as well. But I could have had that book in my possession, especially because I'm liking it. But I got The 3 Lives of Kate K. And I think this was also a Reese's Book Club pick. I don't even know what this is about, y'all. I don't know. I just was kind of like going through it and trying to see if I was going to keep book of the month or not. And I decided I wasn't. And I kind of just, I said, well, they done took my money for this month, so let me just pick a book and go on. And then after that, that's when I started seeing other people and their book of the month that they chose. And I was like, I should have got that book. But hey, we live and we learn. And what we listen and we don't judge. We might judge a book by its cover, but we listen and we don't judge. So this is my book of the month for January. The 3 Lives of Kate K. Don't know what it's about. And when I get around to reading it or picking it up, if it be this year, then that's when I read the synopsis. But of course, it came with a bookmark. It says, I've been expecting you. And I be liking that little bookmarks though. And I've decided I'm going to laminate my bookmarks so I can make them all fancy and stuff. So, because I got a lot of bookmarks too, from Book of the Month and just from going to the bookstore and getting books. But yeah, this is my book of the month. That was my book of the month. And then last but not least, I wasn't feeling my best. What was that, last Monday? That was last Monday. I wasn't feeling my best. I was in a bad mental space. And when I left dialysis, so I didn't want to come home and just lay down. So when I do be in a bad mental space or whatever, and I got myself, I won't say I'm on a book buying ban, but I'm not buying any more books until I read from this shelf. So what I do and what I did was I went to the library. I went to my local library, spent about an hour and a half. I was just going to just go. And then I ended up coming out there with 6 books, y'all. I did a whole vlog thing too, and it didn't come out like I wanted it. So I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to edit it and share it with you all. Because, like I said, it didn't come out. It was some raw footage. But I want to go over with you all the books that I did get at the library. And they kind of go into my theme of February. Of course, I want to read some romances. It's the love month. But also, I usually go into being Black History because it's Black History Month. And so I kind of dove into some books that, one, I don't really like YA, and these all are YA books. And 2, they are just, I think, great for where I'm kind of trying to be in my reading space, especially for February. So, and y'all, yes, thank you for these bags. And I love these bags. And it says, got books. So cute. So we're going to go over these books. I have one of them right here. And it's called, and this author I've never heard of. It's called The Voice in My Head. The Voice in My Head. And I'm just going to read. And then, so, what really made me get it was because Tiffany D. Jackson actually blurbed this book. And it just says, a moving tale of faith and sisterly love. Tiffany D. Jackson. I was like, okay. So, if she blurbed the book, then it's pretty good. And I know it's got to be good. So, it just says she can feel sorry for herself, or she can listen to the voice in her head. And basically, this is about two twin sisters, Indigo and Violet. And one of the sisters has been diagnosed with a terminally ill disease. Lord, forgive me, y'all. I get kind of tongue-tied. But she has been diagnosed with something. Basically, she is about to die, but she decides that she's going to die on her own terms and not how the doctors say she is. So she gathers her whole family up, and they go on this road trip, and I guess the story goes on from there. So this is called The Voice in My Head. And one thing about me is, in my reading, I love the representation of one of my things is I love the representation of I guess we'll say disability rep or chronic illness rep, because I have a chronic illness. So it's amazing to me to see kind of me in the books. Of course, I don't have a terminally ill, but I do have a chronic illness. So I thought that was interesting, The Voice in My Head. And this is by Dana L. Davis. And she had a few books. They had a few books over there. And this is a YA book. The next book is, and I'm just pulling them out. They're not in no specific order. Your Plantation Prom is Not Okay by Kelly McWilliams. It says by the author of Mirror Girls. I never read that one either, but Your Plantation Prom is Not Okay. And I was like, oh, that caught my eye. Just the cover of it caught my eye. And then, just a synopsis. It says, how do we remember America's past, and what do we choose to forget? And I was like, wow. This sounds so befitting of the times. And then it says, you know, I was just talking about the girl. Her name is Harriet Douglas, and she lives with her historian father. So her father is a historian, and they live, I believe, beside this historic house. They used to be a plantation. And a white girl and her mother lives, I don't know, I'm sorry, y'all. I think I saw a mosquito, my bad. A white girl and her father, both who are influencers, move in the house. There used to be a plantation, and she, I think from what I gathered from it, the white girl, she is kind of like using that for a platform, and Harriet kind of like, Your Plantation Prom is Not Okay. So that sounded like that was going to be a good read for February. Uh-oh, it dropped. And then the next one, oh yeah, I said I wanted to get into a little fantasy this year. And I didn't know whether to start off with adult fantasy or YA fantasy. But this book intrigued me because this book is actually written by Omar Epps. And I seen it a couple of months ago, and it looked very interesting. So it's called Nubia the Awakening. Omar Epps and Clarence A. Haynes. So, yeah. Oh, I hope this. And it just says, yeah, I won't get into, I'm not going to read all of it, but it is a fantasy, a YA fantasy. And yeah. And then, because the time is getting far spent, so I'm not going to go just continue to read the synopsis. Then the next book I got was, okay, so these are kind of like a part of a series. One I read when I was a teenager, and then I did not know that it had been a part 2. So when I saw there was a part 2, I was excited. So I remember reading, this is one of the first books that I read when I really got into reading when I was a teenager. It's called The Skin I'm In. And I'm sure a lot of other young women my age probably read this before, The Skin I'm In. And then I did not know that the same author made a sister novel, and her name is Sherry G. Blake. But she made another book some years later called The Life I'm In. So I guess it's just telling about the same girl, but just telling her life later on in life. I don't know. I didn't really, like I said, I'm not going to read the synopsis, but I was like, wow. And I got The Skin I'm In just so I can, go, refresh myself. And then I'm going to go right into The Life I'm In. And then the last but not least book that I got, that I seen a couple of booktubers talk about and rave about it, and it is so befitting of this time as well. It's called The Black Kids. I saw, who was that, Brandy? I think she went and she found this at the Goodwill bookstore. But it's called The Black Kids, and it's following kids from in the 1992 Los Angeles, when when the Rodney King and all of that stuff was going on. So The Black Kids. So I said that would be that would be so befitting for Black History Month to read. So yeah, there's 6 books that I got from the library the other day. I know February is not a long month like January was. February come in, do what it gotta do, and then leave. And it really needs to be a long month because it's Black History Month. But so I might not get to all these books, but the good thing is I got them from the library, so I can go back and get them again if I don't finish them. Because I do want to pick some romance off of my shelf, as well as pick a personal development book and a spiritual development book off of this shelf for the month of February. And then can y'all see my cute little setup that I got for Valentine's Day? I thought that was cute. I did that the other night. But I'm going to come back with a video, or a separate video, where I'm going to get y'all to help me pick my February reads aside of my library books that I got. But I'm going to let y'all shop my shelves with me and see what I'm going to read romance-wise and spiritual and personal development-wise for the month of February. But I hope that you all enjoyed this video. Let me know if you read any of the books that I read in January. If you did, how did you like them? Let me know, have you ever read any of those YA books that I got from the library? And if you did, how did you like them? And if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Leave me a comment. Let me know you watched. And turn that notification bell on and let me know. So it will let you know when I make another video. Until I see y'all again, please know that you are here on purpose and you are loved. You are because you were created and you were planned. So I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.